This dog isn't trained. He's trusted. Most people think this dog is trained. They see how calm he is, how little he reacts, how he doesn't need constant correction, and they assume someone spent years teaching him exactly what to do. That assumption is wrong. This dog isn't trained, he's trusted, and that difference is why he works when it actually matters. Training is about control. It's about replacing decision-making with instruction, replacing judgment with repetition, replacing awareness with obedience. That works in clean environments, quiet yards, predictable routines, situations where someone is always nearby to intervene. But real environments don't work like that. Out here, no one gives commands. There's no handler watching every movement, no leash tension correcting mistakes, no voice stepping in when something feels off. The dog is alone with the consequences of his choices, and that's where training starts to break down. Because training teaches response, trust requires judgment, and judgment can't be installed through repetition. A trained dog waits to be told what to do. A trusted dog decides when action is necessary. That difference is subtle, and it's why most people misread this dog completely. People expect work to look busy. They expect movement. They expect checking in. They expect visible engagement. But this dog doesn't perform his awareness. He doesn't look back for reassurance. He doesn't ask permission to stay focused. He doesn't announce that he's paying attention. He just stays present. That presence isn't accidental. It's not laziness. It's not boredom. It's not indifference. It's restraint. Training often removes restraint because the more you train a dog to respond quickly, the less time he has to think. Fast responses look impressive. Immediate reactions feel reassuring. But speed is not judgment, and judgment is the only thing that matters when no one is watching. This dog doesn't respond to everything. He filters. He ignores noise that doesn't matter. He dismisses movement that doesn't cross a line. He lets the environment exist without constantly inserting himself into it. That filtering is the work, and most people never see it. People think a dog that doesn't react is disengaged, but disengagement looks careless. This looks deliberate. A trained dog often reacts because he's told to. A trusted dog reacts because he decides to. And decision-making requires confidence. Confidence doesn't come from commands. It comes from being allowed to think. It comes from being allowed to be wrong early, quietly, without punishment. It comes from learning the environment instead of performing for approval. That's not training. That's trust. This is where people get uncomfortable. Because trust means giving up control. It means accepting that the dog might not choose what you would choose in the moment. And people don't like that. They want reassurance. They want eye contact. They want responsiveness. They want signs that the dog is still emotionally attached to them. But emotional attachment is not the same as reliability. And in high-pressure environments, attachment can distort judgment. A dog that checks in constantly is often unsure. A dog that needs approval is often hesitating. A dog that waits for permission can miss the moment when action actually matters. This dog doesn't hesitate, not because he's aggressive, not because he's impulsive, but because he's already decided what matters. Trust creates internal boundaries. Training creates external ones. External boundaries disappear when no one enforces them. Internal boundaries remain. That's why this dog can lie still for hours. Not because he's tired, not because he's passive, because nothing has crossed the threshold yet. People misunderstand thresholds. They think danger announces itself. They think threats escalate loudly. They think problems give warnings. They don't. And dogs trained to respond to obvious cues often fail when cues are subtle. This dog notices subtlety, changes in movement, changes in posture, changes in intent. He doesn't react to noise. He reacts to meaning. That's not something you can drill. You can't repeat it into existence. You can't reward it on command. You have to allow it to develop, which means letting go. Letting the dog choose correctly without being micromanaged. Letting silence exist without filling it. Letting nothing happen without assuming something is wrong. Most people intervene too early. They see stillness and get nervous. They see independence and mistake it for disobedience. So they correct, they interrupt, they redirect. They remove the dog's ability to decide, and slowly reliability erodes. Not loudly, quietly. The dog starts reacting sooner than necessary, checking in more often, looking for guidance instead of trusting his own judgment. And people mistake that for improvement until it fails. A trusted dog doesn't need constant feedback. He doesn't need praise to stay focused. He doesn't need correction to remain disciplined. His discipline is internal. That's why this dog isn't trained. Training would interfere. Training would add noise where silence is required. Training would replace judgment with habit, and habits fail when situations change. Trust adapts. This dog doesn't work because he was told how. He works because he was allowed to learn why. That's harder, it takes longer, it looks worse to outsiders. It offers less reassurance in the moment, but it holds when pressure arrives. And pressure is the only test that matters. So when you see a dog like this, calm, quiet, uninterested in performing, don't assume he lacks training. He may simply have something better. He may be trusted, and trust doesn't look impressive. It looks like nothing happening, which is exactly why it works.